Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my process for the first day of the 30-day drawing challenge that I am committing to. I found this challenge on Pinterest. It was originally about 52 prompts long and I changed it to about 30 prompts. If you are interested in doing this drawing challenge with me, I'll leave a link down in the description for you. So the original prompt for day one is to draw a book cover for your favorite book. I had a very hard time choosing a book. I originally had about 3 options. I had the Warrior Cat series by Aaron Hunter, the Aragon series by James Paolini, Christopher Paolini, and the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. So the concept of the book is Maximum was made in a laboratory. She is 98% human and 2% bird, and her and about 6 other kids escaped from this laboratory, and now they are essentially on the run from the scientists that want to capture them and continue to experiment on them. In order to try and capture them, the scientists make these things called erasers, which are 98% human and 2% wolf. So if you think about it, essentially they're werewolves in a way. All in all, this is hands down one of my favorite book series that I've ever read. The most recent installment of it just came out in 2020. I have not read it yet, but I highly recommend this book series to anybody that's interested in a really fun and interesting story. In talking about my art process, I started my art process by initially sketching out a couple ideas. My first idea was this one that you see on the screen, and my second idea was to have both of her wings cover her face so that you only see her eyes, but I really wanted to be able to capture the face, so that's why I thought it was important. I then put this into Procreate that I use on my iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil Gen 2. I then started by outlining, and what I've been trying to experiment with more is color blocking, like you saw earlier. What I'm doing now in the video is adding the effects and the shading to really give it some more definition. Obviously, I am still learning, even at my age, to how to shade faces, because initially I didn't grow up drawing humans. I mostly drew animals, so it's a process. I added the blue in there because I really wanted there to be some type of neon effect to it, and the perfect way to balance out the blue was the orange for the eyes. Once I finished up my process in Procreate, I then went on to download a JPEG and go into InDesign for more creative adjustments. For some reason, I'm not completely sure why, when I was recording in InDesign, it was not bringing out the properties panel at all. I am using Essentials as the screen type for InDesign for this project, but I don't know why it was not showing those. However, I really wanted to make sure I got the typography right for this book cover. As a graphic designer, I am very, very anal and very specific about my typefaces that I use, and I always make sure I pick the right one to match the aesthetic and the feeling of the artwork. Once I finally settled on a font choice for both of the title and the subtitle, I then began to match the colors and begin to add effects as well. So the colors, as you probably saw earlier, are matched from the eyeliner that I put on her winged eye look. And I was really going for like an 80s aesthetic when it came to the actual lettering of it, because I wanted it to have that effect. So I made about 4 to 5 copies of the word maximum ride and put them at different opacities. I think I put them at 75%, 50%, and 25%, I think, to really give that effect. What you'll see later is I ended up going back and making the initial picture of maximum ride into a PNG so that the background of the picture could be separate from the actual image itself, and so that the letters could go behind her head, adding even more of a cool effect to this piece. Next, you can see I'm adding up a couple finishing touches while we're still in InDesign. I was going back and forth a lot with where the placement of the angel experiment should be, if it should be under the text, over the text, what looked more aesthetically pleasing. I did mess around with this a lot because what some people don't understand about graphic design is a lot of it is making sure your piece looks pleasing to the eye, and it's a lot of trial and error and taking pictures of things and going, oh, do I like it here, do I like it there? And that's what I was doing right now in this process. I also added an effect to both the angel experiment and by James Patterson as well, and I added a I believe it was a bright effect to make them stand out and look bright, almost like the light that's beaming off of, the blue light that's around Maximum Ride herself. And after this, then I went and I decided to make a mock-up of this. So in the process of editing this video, I realized I forgot to record Photoshop and InDesign for finishing the product and for putting it into a mock-up. So in a few seconds, you will see the finished product of the cover that I made in InDesign. Here it is. Like I said, the text behind is behind the head, and I think it looks really great. And then coming up in a couple seconds, you will see the mock-up that I made in Photoshop. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate you guys sticking till the end of the video. If you would like to see more content from me, please hit the like button or subscribe, and I'll